Hello everyone, welcome back to Classic Automotive Services. Right, this week we've got a bit more on the TR8 as well as a little bit of progress on the Stag, which we'll go on to in a minute. So far this week we have stripped and rebuilt the starter motor. This is it. So we've taken the starter motor apart, checked it, made sure there's no wear on the armature. The brushes were like new, so we just cleaned it all up inside because they get very dusty and grimy inside. Cleaned and painted it all, and then we've cleaned the solenoid and checked that it was working correctly. Lubricated all the mechanism for the throw out for the solenoid. Put some nice new nuts and washing that on it, so that's ready to be refitted to the engine when it's all sorted. So we've done that. It was nice to have a part that didn't need a great deal doing to it other than just checking it and painting it really. We've stripped the brake calipers. They are down at the platers getting replated at the moment, and we've got a piston caliper rebuild kit for it, as no one lists a rebuild kit for the calipers, but I measured the pistons and told the supplier what seals and that they had, and they've put together a kit for us. So that hopefully is now a kit that's available for TR8. We'll show you that in a minute. We've got the oil pump on the TR8 engine. So a few things to look out for on these oil pumps. First of all, you've got to obviously strip it, clean it a little bit, so you can then check your tolerances. This one actually measures up within specs. You've got to check your end float, your gear to your body clearance, and the mesh on the teeth, how much clearance you've got on the mesh on the teeth. I have got the specs written down somewhere, not sure where. It's not a great deal. End float, I know that was 1.5 to 1.8 thou, and in that you've got to take into consideration the thickness of the gasket as well when you measure it. Otherwise you're going to get into all realms of problems if you don't. And if that tolerance is too big, that one is critical, the end float between the gears and the cap. If that is too big, you will have virtually no oil pressure. Anything more than about 2 thou, you're going to lose all your oil pressure. Something else to look out for is on the body itself, any bad scoring, because the oil going through the pump is actually unfiltered. It sucks it straight from the sump. The only filtration you've got is the big gauze in the sump, which allows a lot of debris through. It then goes through the filter into the engine, so you can get a lot of scoring and damage in the body itself. And if that's the case, unfortunately your front cover is scrap. Another thing to look out for is the gears recessing themselves into the housing, which it's not a big issue, as you can have the housing refaced to get the end float back into tolerance. These gears are getting replaced as they've got a bit of pitting and marking on the rotors, which we're not happy about, as they've done a fair bit of mileage and they're not going to go back in the engine. We're not going to chance them at all, so we're going to order new ones. And plus this shaft's got a little tiny bit of wear on it at the top, which is then allowing the gear to tip slightly through the drive being at the top of off the camshaft. It's putting pressure on it and tipping it, and it has just started to cause the wear on the cap unevenly. It's wearing more on this face than it is over here, so that's what happens when you get a bit of wear in your shaft. So you then just need to double check that your bushes, well, not really bushes, they're part of the cover, especially when you get the new gear. Make sure you've got no excessive movement in the actual cover. The cover is the critical part on these, and sourcing a new one can be difficult. But we've ordered new gear. We're going to order new gears for it. and rebuild it with new gears. We've still got to strip the pressure relief valve out of the housing and check the pressure relief valve out, and we'll probably put a new spring in it anyway, as it's just a good thing to do. These springs can get weak, and the last thing you want is to rebuild the engine. The spring measures the correct length and it snaps at some point and you lose all your oil pressure. So we'll put a new spring in. It's hard to see, but the oil pressure relief valve assembly is in here underneath this cap. It's all in here. So that's the oil pump. We've now got the cylinder head stripped, ready to go to the machine shop when the engine's finished, which will be next week. So we can drop these off when we put the bottom end up. So we've got all the valves out of it. The valves are bagged up. I've already decoked all the valves, ready to go. There's got to be lap back in when these come back from the machine shop. So these are going to get acid dipped. It needs new valve guides, as a couple of them have got excessive play in them. So there's no point just doing them. A couple that need doing, put a complete set of valve guides in, job done. And this head in particular is probably going to need the valve seats recutting, as they're quite corroded. Due to where the engine was sat, then valves were probably left open. Moisture got in there and it's corroded it. And this one has got a couple which are corroded as well. So that's the heads, all stripped. That's pretty much where we're up to on the TR8 this week. We've mainly been organising and sourcing parts. We've finally managed to source a good high quality camshaft, which it's already made now. The service that company offered was absolutely exceptional. They're a very well known, reputable company. I'm not going to say who it is, as if you want a decent quality cam, you can contact us and we'll be able to supply you one. The camshafts are made to order, any specs, basically any specification you like, all made in the UK as well, very high quality and very, very reasonably priced. So I ordered that, when was it? I ordered it Thursday, and Friday they were tooling up to do Rover camshafts anyway, so they've done it and dispatched it. We should have it tomorrow, Monday. So that's great. So we've got a complete cam kit coming for that. So it's the camshaft and the hydraulic followers for it. If we go over to the parts, so the parts we've been ordering, we've got for the TR8 anyway. We've got fuel tank strap rubbers. We've already seen a lot of this stuff that we bought last week. We've got the suspension bushes have arrived. So we've ordered every single bush on the entire car in black, Superflex. So when the suspension parts come back from the powder coaters, I can just reassemble it all. So it's all ready to go back together. There's every single subframe bushes, even the steering column bushes in there. That's the whole kit for the whole car. So yeah, like I was saying, when the suspension parts come back from the powder coaters, I can build it all up. So we've got sub-assemblies ready to refit into the car once it's all prepped and painted. So it should come along very, very quickly. Once I'll get the engine built, get all the suspension built. So we've got, like I said, sub-assemblies. Once the shell's prepped and painted, it's going to be a few hours just to bolt all the running gear back in with the engine and box, and we've got a complete rolling car again with the engine and box in it. So that will come along very quickly at that point. This is the rebuild kit for the brake calipers. So we've got stainless steel pistons and all the seals, including the caliper seals, which the little one that goes into two halves of the caliper. Again, big red, we always use them, very good high quality parts, could never fault them. So that is now a rebuild kit for Triumph TR8 brake calipers, the original AP calipers that is. So that pretty much wraps up where we're up to on the TR8. Like I said, hopefully we're going to get the engine back next week. Well, the bottom end anyway, all the machine work done. They were just in the process of balancing the rotating assembly tail end of last week. So once that's done, we can have it back and start going through the process of getting the bottom end built up. And we will do some good detailed videos on building the engine, what to check, how to check it, how we do with the engine builds. As if you don't do a lot of the checks, you will get into trouble and you will potentially destroy your engine. So let's move on to the red Stag quickly. Right, the red Stag. So we've had a bit of part-time helping this week. He comes in a couple of days a week to help us out when he can. So I've had him stripping the interior out of the red Stag and starting to get all the paintwork off of it. So we've got all the interior completely stripped, all the carpets are out, and they had the original carpets in it and they're exceptionally good condition, so we managed to get them out without damaging them. The only one that was a bit tricky was the centre one, where it had a lot of sound deadening on it, so we have to replace the sound deadening. So that's not a great issue. Floor pans, they do look exceptionally good. We have to underneath it, and there are one or two minor areas which possibly need a little bit of attention, but we'll take some of the sound deadening pads out, thick black tar pads out and have a look. But hopefully we'll get away with no repairs on the actual floors. So we've got the boot lid stripped. Other than this edge, we've just got to run a wire wheel on there and get rid of all this paint and sealer where the trims have been bonded on to the clips. It's had a bit of batter in there, but we can sort that out. Underside is completely sound. There's no filler or rust or rot actually in it. It's very, very good. The only part of it that isn't so good is this corner, so we'll have to make a piece and put a piece in the corner, as we're not going to replace the boot lid for that. New ones don't fit. This one lines up very nice and they're a lot of money. So we've then got the rear wing stripped. This was all loaded with filler. Now it's got no paint in it, or no filler on it. Well, it's completely naked and you can see what you've got. So all the dings and dents through here, it's had a bit of a hard old life. Again, all through here, dings, dents, and what have you. The bottom of the back wing is actually very, very good, apart from this corner where it's full of lead. But we're going to have to take the bottom of the back wing off anyway, up to around here, through here somewhere. So we can replace the sill, because we're fitting full sills to it. But other than that, obviously we're not stripping the doors or the front wings or the sills, because they're getting replaced. We've got new panels for them. The rest of it will be back to bare metal, so we can, well, we know what we've got. Gives us a fresh starting point, and it's the only way you can truly do a good job on a classic car, really. There's no point not stripping it, as you don't know what's actually underneath the paint. So that's where we're up to this week. So please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.